All right. Welcome everyone to the Kured Dev Meeting. Today is the 27th of October. Just looking at the agenda from last time, it looks like there's no action items because we got the 1.8 release out, which is great. And I just said to Christian earlier, like I always expect like one of these days we're going to get a release out and then we get a lot of angry GitHub issues, but it looks like it doesn't, it wasn't this release, you know, it looks like everything went well, I'm happy with it.
Let's keep things boring, yes.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. Yeah, so Christian, you had one thing you wanted to talk about. Jack, did you have any agenda items or anything you wanted to sort of cover?
It would be, I think, good to just circle back to the release Quay stuff and make sure that if there's anything we can do before the next release to make that a little easier.
Yes.
I feel like the release process is fairly automated. It's, you know, I put on a little bit of the release manager hat this time and tagged the commit and everything started working. So I think the release process is great. So we just want to make sure that Quay error is behind us, I guess.
Yeah, so I talked to our IT person. Like I personally had quite a bit of trouble getting my Quay account set up again because they have some SSO dance, like you have a Quay account and a Red Hat account and it doesn't match and it blows up in your face. And we as WeFX also had a bit of a problem because I think there was like an ancient version of Flux, which didn't quite work with some changes they made at Quay, and then it took Quay down or something. So they blocked our accounts. And I don't know if that is still the case or what the problem is, but we were in touch with their support folks and everything just took ages. I don't know. I'll ping everyone again, and maybe if that doesn't work, we need to look for a different solution.
Cool. Okay. The reason it's there is it's a backup registry, so that we're not reliant exclusively on one registry. Yeah,
that was the
makes sense.
That was the ask in one of those issues, but maybe we can get it up somewhere else if you know if they don't respond. Like, I mean, it's been like weeks now, and it's just absurd to be waiting for this. But I'll reach out again.
Thanks, Daniel.
Okay, Christian, the floor is yours. You had an issue.
Yeah,
to talk about.
There's one issue in 451, security best practices and permissions. A user asked how we handle the huge privileges we grant to Kured, and if there's a way we can do things better. I personally, from my perspective, don't think that we can reduce some privileges there, so allow privilege escalation or so has to be stayed true, but the possibility maybe would be to switch to a distroless image to reduce the attack surface more. Don't know how you think about that.
I can certainly, have you tested any of these hypotheses? I think I agree with you that we can't drop privileged equals true, but I'm happy to test it and prove it if that hasn't been done in the issue thread. But yes, I think you're right that assuming privilege equals true is a requirement, having a distroless image, basically we can optimize at the image abstraction without really changing the actual Kubernetes, sort of the container spec. That could be great. Are we on is it Alpine right now? What image is it using?
Alpine now, yes.
Yeah.
But then you have Bash and the other things.
Cool. Why don't I just assign that to myself, and I will go through and just get some concrete results from the suggestions and sort of paste why we can or
Yep.
can't do certain things.
Okay, great.
Sorry, do you have the bug number? I have 451. Sorry, I was trying to take notes and navigate GitHub at the same time. It didn't quite work. Okay. So is this just something we need to test and then?
I just pasted into the notes, so
Oh yeah, super. Sorry.
I'll just say assigned Jack Francis. Do some repro tests of varying. So I think that a sensible thing to do would be to, I mean, I'm reading down the thread kind of in real time here, but it seems like there are some ideas being proposed. And it seems like at this point, there's enough ideas that we can move things forward by just testing some of those ideas and proving that they don't work, or maybe that they do work. And from there, we can maybe figure out an action item. I do agree that it does seem like there is a slightly less privileged way to do the whole stack. But I haven't thought about that in a few months. But I remember in the spring when I was working with a colleague who was doing he had an alternate rebooting mechanism. It seemed like his implementation was slightly less privileged. So I don't know if we can generalize that in a way that Kured is general across all Linux distros. It's possible that if you constrain the number of distros that you're going to have to deal with, like the underlying OS running on the nodes, you can maybe optimize the security story for that particular OS. But as you generalize it across Linux, it becomes harder to do. But I'm happy to just do some of these tests and report back. Does that make sense, Daniel?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm just wondering, how much, as we, or if we start tightening up security, like take 1, 2, 3 measures, like how if we're going to run into people whose setup is going to break and it'll stop working because they're on, random Linux something, and they set their reboot Sentinel to whatever, or reboot command to something, and then it stops. I'm not sure if there's any complication.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think we should definitely not regress. So if we do change something that might regress, then we probably want to make that configurable. Like maybe there's a more secure option that we can opt into. But I actually think it's kind of the inverse, where the current security story probably prevents some folks from using it because they are not allowed to use privileged containers, for example.
That makes sense, yeah.
But I think in general, it's worth just doing a sort of architectural audit of this every once in a while, because the space evolves a little bit over time. So, compared to 18 months ago, I'm speaking sort of hypothetically, I don't have anything concrete to offer, but for example, the pod security policy story is evolving. And so at some point that will go away, and we will need to hook into a different interface to achieve the same things in Kured and in other projects. So it's just worth doing, I think, a regular audit every 18 months or so to see if there is a better way.
I wonder which group in upstream Kubernetes would be, basically a counterpart or folks we could reach out to. We say like, we're thinking about this. We know many people use Kured. What can we do? Or, can we?
That is a great question. I can have an answer to that, and I actually am gonna leave it to do stream. See. So I think that's great. I've got lots of colleagues here who either will know the answer or will at least know the right SIG that we can speak to. And if we can get 30 minutes of folks' time to look at the way we're currently doing and just say, oh, you can do it better than this, or why are you doing it this way?
Exactly. I don't think that the QD is like a gigantic project. I mean, these folks, like for them, it's going to easy to digest what is going on. And I think if they can talk to some real users of their stuff, I think they're going to be, happy as well. It's going to be a change from the same old, same old.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Super. Christian, what do you think? Is this like a good outcome?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Good point to start.
Super. Just having a brief look at the list of open PRs.
What about 455?
There are 2 new PRs. I can look at those. Oh, looks like Christian, you already did look at those. I can give a.
Yes, from my perspective, they're looking good.
Okay, cool. So the log format essentially so we're not changing the way we're logging, we're just moving our, we're making our log facility configurable from a user perspective. So we're using Logris. Okay, cool. So we're just moving some of the Logris configuration options into user space so they can control whether or not it's JSON or text.
Yeah.
That sounds fine. I will just go ahead and almost want to say with a change like this, is there any way we could pick one of these end-to-end jobs to use the new JSON format? Are we going to see any of that in the CI output? Let me see. I wonder if we get. Well, maybe we can do that as a follow-up. I think that's maybe a larger effort. I think there are a lot of options in Kured that are not tested by the project. So we can maybe talk about that generally at some point.
That's right. There's loads.
Cool.
Yeah, and then there's also.
Is this from a new contributor? That's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, excellent.
And then this looks like a related PR about JSON logging.
Yeah, that's the Helm chart.
I see. Okay, so this person he figured out how to make the changes in the sort of correct order. Actually, it looks like, is there overlap here between this and the other PR?
Yes, the Helm chart PR is set up on the first PR.
Got it. So once he rebases, then some of that change, some of the diff will go away. Yeah. Cool. So I'll watch this issue. So when it is ready for a review, I can quickly hop in.
And then there's 368 from Alexei, which has been hanging around for a bit now.
I think we can probably merge this, unless does Jean-Philippe have a specific change, or is he just not? Let's see what the changes that he requested.
Yeah, needs a few changes, and rebase was his last comment, but that's like from end of July. So, and I asked like if there's more. I think it's just invalidate.
I'll review this later on. I mean, this I'll spend a little bit more focus time because I don't want to do this while I'm on camera. And I will comment if I think this is really ready to go. Then we can just, I think, merge it.
Yeah, it's really nice if we can, leave all of the stuff to the what's the library called again? Shouter, and then you don't need to mess around with these things anymore.
Yep.
Yep.
Brilliant. It's done. 10-minute meetings.
Well, with some waiting.
Yeah, just catching up a little. Cool. All right,
Okay.
in that case, I'll see you online.
Indeed, be
Great.
well and +1 GMT.
You too.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye,
Have a
guys.
nice day.
You too.
You too.
Bye.